All right, this is my first sketchbook tour, though this is actually my second finished sketchbook. On the cover, I painted a sunflower because I like sunflowers, and I actually haven't painted in a long time. So, and on the side, instead of numbering my sketchbook, I decided to just put what year I did them in. So this will be my 2021 sketchbook, and there's my signature on the side. On the inside cover, I did this in marker. This is actually, I did this originally in my first sketchbook, my first finished sketchbook. But I wanted to color it, but I didn't want to color the one that's in the other sketchbook. So I recreated it here on the inside cover. Over here is my cover page. You see I started this sketchbook in December of 2020, so December 4th, and I finished it today, February 18th, 2021. This is on my email address and my Instagram, and I also put the sketchbook 2021 down here. So this first page, this is actually the first drawing of the book, not just because it's on the first page, but I actually did draw on the first page first. And this was a Do This in Your Style challenge from illustrator Izzy Burton. And I recreated by, instead of the character she had, I put my son in it, because that's what I do. I just put my son in everything. And I think in the backpack of the girl, she was carrying a puppy, but since my kid loves dinosaurs, I gave him a velociraptor. So one of the things I wanted to do when I first started back drawing, by the way, I haven't drawn this much in 5 years because I just had a lot going on. One of them being having a kid, and who doesn't give me time to do anything. So, but over the years, me and Noah have a thing with Halloween where we like to do it up. So I drew him in his costumes. This was this past Halloween where he was Wolf from Kipo in the Age of Wonder Beast. And over here is when he was Aang. And I especially want to do this one since his costume pictures went viral last year, even though the costume was actually from 3 years ago. So, like I said, I wanted to do this, and I wanted to put in a color, and I even have Iroh in the back. This is basically the avatar in the spirit world. These were other Draw This in Your Style challenges. I actually done them in my old sketchbook, but I wanted to try to do them in color since it was the new sketchbook. I only really did this one, and the only reason I didn't color this one was because I liked the way the other drawings looked in the back, or behind it. So this is my first real spread. When I say spread, I mean like an actual double page drawing. And I just wanted to basically just slowly get myself back into drawing different faces and bodies. And these I got from a Pinterest reference. I just put them all together. They were individual pictures, but I put them all together. And I wanted to look like, women in college type of thing. And this was another portrait study, a series of portrait studies rather. And just like with the other one, I alternated with my blue and my red mechanical pencils. I started liking drawing a mechanical pencil better than graphite because these don't smudge. See, no smudging here. I wanted to do a fantasy spread because I love like the Dragon Prince, and I just started watching his Dark Materials, and I started reading them, and so I just wanted to do like a fantasy type. Actually, I did quite a few fantasy type spreads. This was my son in his Dragon Prince costume, and I just branched off from there. This was the first frog I've ever drawn. I was quite proud of it. And this was also when I got my different colored leads for my mechanical pencil. So I got yellow, green, purple, and I wanted to practice with them, and actually really like drawing with different colors. And I recently just got some Prismacolor Cola Race color pencils, so there'll probably be more of that. And this was me trying to draw some guys for a change, because I tend to draw either my son or women. I just think women are easier to draw, but I think I did pretty good with these, and plus I got to play with my color pencils again. I really like this yellow one. I actually had to go over it with red because the yellow was really light, but I like the way they came out. And this is me doing it again with the yellow color pencil. I actually did the yellow because just in case, I think for some reason when I do the yellow, the drawing comes out better because, I guess because I feel like I can make more mistakes. But I never did actually finish these, but that's what Sketchbook is for practice. It's not, everything doesn't have to be a finished drawing. And here's more sunflowers. This was my attempt at drawing the Avatar gang, but in my style. So I'm not going to name everybody, you know who they are. But, and I chose, and obviously I drew them in the color of their nation. For some reason, I just really like the way Aang came out. He looks so silly, just like Aang really is. And this was my Korra spread, since I did the Avatar, and I feel like Korra gets not enough love, so I wanted to do a spread of my girl. And this was basically like a screen cap redraw challenge, but I did like, was this like 9 screen caps? So that was that. I liked, actually, I did this one again later in the book, and I didn't finish coloring it, but maybe I will one day. Who knows? This was the first thing that I did in color in this book. And I did this the day after Christmas because I had just gotten my Faber Castell color pencils. So I really like the way this came out. I have this thing with magic portals, and again, I was doing a fantasy spread, and I think this is when I really started watching his Dark Materials. So I got my dude with his demon, I suppose. And this was actually from a tutorial on how to draw waterfalls and how to draw rocks. And so I just wanted to make a full page spread type thing with that. This is the first thing I did in my Ohuhu markers, which I also got for Christmas. So I really like, this is like literally the first thing I did with my markers, and I really like the way it came out. One more time for a fantasy spread. And this is actually technically 2 drawings in one, but it's like you know, these are my OCs, and like this is one world, this is a separate world, but they're combined. This was just more practice with my markers. I had something else completely different drawn on this side, and I'm glad again that the markers kind of covered it up because it did not turn out well. But this one did, and so I want to using pen just to make sure it showed up on that page. This drawing was so good until I started inking it, so we're going to pretend it doesn't exist. Okay. I really like this page. I think I should have waited until I got my pastel markers because the colors are so bold, but I still like the way it came out. So one more time for this fantasy spread. And this is the first owl I ever drew, and I was so proud of it that I did another spread with owls. But again, the markers covered up one page of it, but you can see it on my Instagram, the 2-page spread. So you can see poor markers, or the poor owls got covered up by the markers. But this is the other side. We're gonna ignore this one. It was so good before I tried to paint it. But I just like, I don't know if, you know, I like drawing faces, and so I wanted to do a spread of portraits. I was trying to do different facial expressions with this one, since a lot of the faces that I usually get my references from Pinterest, and a lot of them have like bland faces, but I wanted to try to do different facial expressions as well. Now, this page started with this one. This was a photo that I took of my son, and I loved it so much that I wanted to draw it. But then he was just sitting there with nothing, and again, didn't want to color it because I didn't want to mess up the portraits that I did over here. So I think what I'll probably do is just color it on actual marker paper, like recreate it there. And I just really just did these portraits just to fill in the rest of the page. Plus I was trying to get different head angles because I really needed to practice that. This was me practicing poses. I think I did post this, but I just didn't I really highlighted this one because I just really like the way this one came out. But this one's pretty cool too, so I was going to color both of these. I never got around to this one, but I might later. But it was supposed to be like a contrast. So he's in the middle of the fire, she's in the middle of the snow. This is actually, I printed this out on cardstock and then colored in marker there because here's the original drawing and I just taped it inside. And again, but I did put the color palette I wanted to use here. So I knew how I wanted to, I knew how I wanted to color it here. Again, because I didn't want to mess up the little foxes. This was one of my goals, which I'll show you at the end of the book, was to draw more animals. I never used to draw animals because I convinced myself I didn't know how. So I said, you know what? This is the time to practice drawing things that you normally don't. So I drew a spread of foxes. This one is my favorite because he's so cute. This is actually a fox on, his name is Juniper. He's on Instagram. I actually really like this page because I wanted to, I found several, as I was looking up portraits, portraits for older elderly people were coming up, and I just loved the way their faces looked, and I said I need to practice drawing more faces like this, faces that have more values and depth. So this one, actually, this is like the first thing I did in graphite in this book because, you know, I just had this thing about graphite. I used to draw graphite all the time, but once I discovered the colored pencil leads, it's been downhill from there. But I actually like this page, and it actually did pretty well on my Instagram. I hope you can see this yellow one because that's actually this red and this yellow one are my favorites. This was me. I also really love this page. She's my favorite. She's so cute. I think I was going through a bit of an art block when I did this, so I need to draw something just to get over that. So I started, this was actually a redraw from my old sketchbook. So I drew her here, and the idea was supposed to be people waiting at a crosswalk. And eventually, well, at some point I was supposed to fill it in with more people in the back, but then I got lazy and did not. This is another redraw. This was a character that I created way back in college. I'm not gonna tell you how long ago, because it was a long time ago. And I just wanted to redraw her face. And it took me so many tries, but this is the one I finally loved. So, and that's what made me finally give up the old drawing, because I wanted to draw her face better than it had. And plus I have a thing with ladybugs, so that's what this whole thing is. I have a spread of ladybugs. The idea is that this is supposed to be a younger version of her. And then I redrew it again. It came out slightly different, but again, this is another redraw. I actually drew this picture. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you I drew this. This was a little girl that I was a camp counselor, and she was one of the kids. She was 5 at the time, 5 or 6. And she asked me to draw her because I had my sketchbook at the time, and so I drew her. And I wanted to redraw it to see if I could do it. And so that's her, and more ladybugs. This is actually my sister. I drew them in my old sketchbook. I wanted to color it. I don't really like how the colors came out, so I'm going to try again at a later date. So we're gonna skip to this. The idea behind this is I wanted to do a spread of old Hollywood actresses, Black Hollywood actresses, and display like the glamour of old Hollywood, but also the reality of old Hollywood. So you see the segregated theater. It says colored only, because the reality is these women would not have been necessarily been allowed in the places where their movies were being shown, in certain places of the country, or the movie might not even been shown in those certain parts of the country. So I just wanted to show them some love, but also show the reality. This is actually my favorite in the whole book. It came out so cute. And even though the original picture wasn't my son, it wound up looking so much like my son that that's probably why I love it. But these, I have to talk about these because these were my son's drawings that I recreated here. He loves dinosaurs, he draws dinosaurs. And he once drew a picture of me and his dad, and that's what it looked like. And this is actually his handwriting. I had him write Mom and Dad here. So he actually is in the drawing. And these were the thumbnails that I did so I can get the right color scheme, because I knew I wanted this. Yeah, this was before I got my pastel markers, but I wanted a lighter color palette and a slightly, it doesn't look like it's a minimal color palette, just seeing how many colors I use, but I wanted to make it look like I didn't use that many colors. That's why the ribbon is here, because that's my favorite. Let's see. Oh, excuse me. More old art redraws. These were more characters. This was actually, this face was actually used in a set of playing cards that I made. This was another OC that I wanted to redraw. And the only reason I'm showing it because it came out the way I wanted it to. Again, more animals. All the animals that I've drawn are animals that I think are the coolest. So sea turtles are cool. And this background is actually a light wash of watercolor. And these were other thumbnails of possible color schemes I wanted to to use. But of course, I wound up not doing it all because I didn't want to mess up this page. But I do have plans to finish this on a separate sheet of maybe marker paper, or maybe I'll do it in watercolor, who knows. This is a dude, this cool looking older dude that kept popping up on my Pinterest feed, and he just looks so cool, and his wardrobe was so cool. He wears like these colorful scarves no matter what outfit he's got on, and this beret, and he always has a pipe, and I just thought he looked so cool that I wanted to draw him. And so there's that. This is something else I may turn into a finished piece. And more different poses. That foot angle was so not easy to do, but I think I pulled it off. Another portrait study. This is my awesome cousin, and I had to draw her because she's so awesome. And she cried when I showed it to her. Okay, this is a screen cap redraw of one of the sceneries from this show on Hilda this show on Netflix I love, called Hilda. The show is so adorable, and I love the art style and the color palette, and I just wanted to recreate it. And this is something else. I also posted this on Instagram. You can also see the original sketch if you go through on that post. I am actually really proud of the way this came out, because the funny thing is I had to draw it from right to left instead of from left to right. It was because I had to make sure that it fit across the whole page. So I started over here and then drew it going this way. This was honestly just I drew this just to fill up the page, because on this side this was my first time practicing with the watercolor color pencils that I got for Christmas. These aren't great, but that's what practice is for. This is my other favorite. This is another portrait of my son. I have so many pictures of of course I have a lot of pictures of my son on my phone. This is one of the ones I wanted to draw. I also drew this because I was going through another block. And I think I do still have the, do I still have the sketch on my phone? I don't know. I think I do. But I really like the way this came out. And it's now my profile photo on Twitter. And this actually, you can see I tried to do something. This was before, yeah, I drew this before I colored the other side, because I didn't know if I was going to color this or not, but I wound up doing so. And I wasn't too upset about the drawing getting covered up, because it wasn't great anyway. I was trying to do this desert landscape, because it did not come out the way I wanted, but sometimes you have to go through that just to get to you have to go through bad art days. It humbles you a little bit. And this was another, I had no idea what I wanted to draw, but I knew I wanted to draw something. So I just watched a tutorial on how to do, it was a pick candle which is a YouTube channel. Also, they have, I think they have like those adult coloring books. But I wanted to do my own, so I did my own composition, and I added some animals. This was my first attempt using my liquid watercolors. I actually was trying to buy ink, but I wound up buying blue liquid watercolor by accident. But it was a happy accident because I said, oh, let me try this out. So I made like a little spooky forest type deal. I used washi tape to create the border and then peeled it off when I was done. And if this was a TV show, this would be called fillers. So these are fillers. This is another redraw. And this is the redraw of that scene from Korra. The only reason I haven't finished this is because I was lazy. There's no other reason. But I did finish her, so I do like the way she came out. I was, again, using here's the swatches, just to make sure I got the right colors. This is my last post. I have been trying to draw this sketch. This is a reference from Pinterest. I have been trying to draw this for so long, but I think the problem was that I was trying to draw it small so I could do a spread of different poses. But I said, why not just try to just make her the page? And once I did her face bigger, everything fell into place. And I really like the way the sketch came out. The hand is a little too small, but the hand came out so good that I did not want to erase and try again. So there you go. I think I did these in the same day. Maybe not. I think I did this the day after that. When did I do this one? Oh, I did this on Valentine's Day. I think I did this on the 15th. Since it was a holiday and I had time off. These are, I keep seeing like these elevation doodles, and I wanted to do one earlier in the book, but they wouldn't come out. And so I finally, and when I did these, I said, oh, okay. They're not supposed to be perfect. They're supposed to look like, illustration doodles, and I just like the way they came out. And this is another Pinterest reference I tried to do on a smaller scale, but making the face bigger, or making the face fill up more space, made it come out way better. And again, I was watching tutorials on how to draw hands. So once I saw the actual mechanics of how you get started, like you do the palm, and I can't even explain it to you, but once I figured that out, hands, they're still hard, but this makes so much more sense. I should probably find that hand tutorial and link it for you, because that changed the game for me. This is another screen cap redraw, but it's actually 2 screen caps in one. This is from Gravity Falls, and the reason why I chose those, because I chose it because of the color scheme, again, but I did not actually wind up doing the color here. But that's just because I think I couldn't decide if I wanted to do it in marker or in watercolor. But since I have a watercolor sketchbook, I may just recreate it in there and try to do that, make that be my watercolor practice. But I also like the way the sketch came out, because like I said, I combined 2 different screen caps into one. So, plus I just like the way the trees are kind of similar to the way they're done on Hilda, but they're similar but different. This was me trying to hurry up and finish this sketchbook. So I did eye studies. So these are obviously 18 different eyes. And I was originally just going to do all human, but I said, you know what? Let me try to do animal eyes as well. So, and I wanted to do different ethnicities, different angles, and from different expressions as well. The different expressions are more evident here, 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 and here. But again, like I said, I wanted to also do animal eyes. So here's a tiger eye, here's an eagle eye. That's an elephant, and this is actually my dog, Cal, who's no longer with us, but I wanted to put him in my sketchbook. Since he's in my other sketchbook, I wanted to put him in this one too. And plus he had the prettiest blue eyes because he was a Husky German Shepherd mix. So there's that. Obviously I drew this in the last few days because we're stuck in the house thanks to the snowstorm. Good old climate change. This is actually inspired by the beginning of the Peanuts movie. In the beginning, it's like really stylized, animated snowflakes falling. And I was sitting there while my son was doing his virtual learning because he's in kindergarten. And I was just basically just doodling. I said, let me just do a snow scene. I think the last few pages are snow scenes because, again, we're trapped here for a little bit. This one, see, this is where I finally stole the the tree designs and put them in my own illustration, or my own background rather. So we have like a snowy riverbank into some pine trees. And the pine trees also supposed to be covered with snow. Another snowy scene. This was on Instagram. I keep getting this ad on how to like, I think it's either Domestika or one of those like Skillshare or something. And on the ad, they show the person drawing this girl looking bored. I don't know what she was doing, but I said, you know what? I'm going to turn that into my son. So I gave him his signature braids, a snowy scene outside the window. This is like poor thing is waiting for school to end so he can go outside and play in the snow. This was a very, very quick sketch that I did just to fill up this page. I actually did this after what's on the other side just because I didn't want to have just a blank white page, because in my eyes that wouldn't have been a finished sketchbook. So this is the, okay, this is not technically, this is technically the last spread that I did for this sketchbook. And originally it was just to fill in the last spread, but then I wound up really liking the way the faces and the poses came out. I know this bird is like really big, but I'm going to hand wave it and say that she's just really strong. So, and I used my watercolor, my liquid watercolors to fill in the white spaces and create like another snowy scene in the back. And just to, you know, so it's just not all white. That's the last spread, but it's not the last page. So over here, these were my original goals for this sketchbook. I wanted to practice with the alcohol markers that I got, draw more animals, draw more people in different poses, do more drawings of different age, people of different ages and body types. Do double page spreads. I never had, well, that's not true. I've had sketchbooks where you can draw across the page, but I just never did because I was stuck in the mode. But with this particular sketchbook, since it lays flat, it's so much easier to do double page spreads. So that's what I really wanted to do. That was one of my goals to spread in this sketchbook, and I think I did that more than enough. And another goal was to be okay with unfinished sketches. So technically, I did that, but also when I like a sketch enough, I'm going to want to finish it. And this last page is just it's a double meaning. I've been obsessed with this song called Exit Signs by Pentatonic, so I just draw a bunch of different exit signs, but also since it's the last page, it's like, okay, so now you can exit this book. And obviously the exit signs aren't going in different directions, but that's the official last page of this book. This is just the swatches that I did when I got my Ohuhu markers. All right, so that is my sketchbook. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and look out for the next one because I think I may do one for my first finished sketchbook. See you guys later.